Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, first question. You have made it clear that consistently using full range of motion is ideal for proper growth. There are conditions which cause your rib cage to become more barrel-shaped genetically. For these individuals, they will therefore have a limited range of motion on the barbell bench press as their chest shortens the range of motion. Should these individuals switch to dumbbells to get more range of motion, or just keep going with the range of motion they have with the barbell bench press? No, go ahead and just do the normal bench press. I mean, I fall in that category, right? And what people need to remember is that when you have a big rib cage, your chest is going to look big no matter what you do. Now, some people will argue, well, maybe from the front it might not look as big. Maybe from the side it'll look monstrous if you have any chest development. But back to the point of overall development, though, let's say you're trying to get as big as possible, and you're like, well, I want to have the option of dumbbells because they do increase range of motion. They might give more stretch. You can get that better myotatic reflex. But they also come at the expense of dramatically less weight use and less muscles involved. You see the downside there? You're not going to be as strong on the dumbbell bench press. Now, I do understand the point that could be made of, well, you know, we could get that benefit even with lighter weight, and that's true, but there's a superior exercise for that. It's called the weighted dip. The weighted dip also allows you to get that stretch reflex as long as you have bars where you can vary the width a bit and you can do them safely and everything. Weighted dips are king for doing this. Weighted dips are king for doing this. Also, access to cambered bars. A cambered bar can do the exact same thing as well. So you don't have to go to dumbbells just because you want to get a deeper range of motion. And I'm not saying they're a bad tool for it, but I'm reminding people that just because this is what bodybuilders do, there are other easier pieces of equipment to have, particularly if you train at home. Because I recommend to most people, if you're really serious about your training and you really want to take it kind of to the next level, home gyms are kind of the way to go. And it's a hell of a lot easier to have dipping bars or get a cambered bar for your home gym than it is to mess with the dumbbells and a full range of dumbbells. So just throwing that out there as the other option. But I think that those are superior options to the dumbbells, mainly because they allow for more overall development, not just the deeper stretch at your pecs. Which again, we need to be looking at overall development, even if we want to put some extra emphasis in one muscle that we feel is getting some aspect of it neglected. There's no reason to not get better overall development while doing so at the same time. It's just my opinion. All right, next question. Do you have brutally strong strength standards for the big four? No, I don't think my strength standards are brutally strong. I think that they're a good solid baseline, but they don't represent people who are strength specialists or who are the truly genetically elite on strength. They really don't. But I tell guys what I would like to see for most people's realistic goals. I'd like to see a healthy young man. Hell, I'd even say if you're going to be in your 40s like me, this is a goal you could reach towards to be as strong as a healthy young man's standards. Just got to be more careful of injuries and stuff. But 200 overhead press, 300 bench, 400 squat, 500 deadlift. I think that's what people need to be reaching. There are going to be exceptions to these rules. There are going to be physical reasons why some people's structure or illness or whatever else may not allow for this to happen. But unless you have really good excuses, then no, I think that these are standards that you should be reaching for. If you're a fitness enthusiast building just an overall base, I think those are good numbers to reach for. I don't think they're unrealistic. I don't think that they're brutally strong. I think that these are the standards that we should be able to achieve. We should be able to achieve these. And if you think that that's unrealistic, then maybe you need to reassess who you're getting your training information from and the routines you've been running. All right, next question. Hey, Jason, can you make noob gains on a body part you haven't trained yet? For example, somebody who skips leg day but has a well-developed upper body after a year of lifting thinks. Leg day, what the hell is leg day? Sort of noob-ass, kooky bodybuilder G4P word is that, leg day. You should be squatting most of the time when you're in the gym. All right, but that aside, this is subject to a lot of debate. I've known experts who say no. And that's the important thing that you need to remember. All right. Remember C.J. Allen, who was working on his PhD in exercise science and was a coach when I interviewed him? He says that you lose your noob gains. If you miss out on something with your noob gains, then that's it. You go into normal whatever progression. That you'll progress like an intermediate if you screw up. And so he's, I don't know, pretty smart guy, pretty educated, pretty knowledgeable, pretty experienced. That was his opinion. So if you were to use his logic, then no, you're going to progress on your legs like you would if you're an intermediate, even if you're starting with 100 pounds on the squat. It's going to be a slower progression than had you started squatting from day one. I think there could be some truth to that. Meaning, I don't think that if you're starting, let's say that you spend a year training and you've got your bench up to 225 for reps and your overhead pressing 135 for reps, and you're pretty strong on weighted pull-ups, and you've done 0 leg works and you get under a squat bar, I don't think you're going to get to a 315 squat for sets of 5 really fast. In other words, it might take you 2 years to do what you could have done in a year had you started with day one. So you could be behind the curve. Now, I don't think you'll see the full noob gains. Will you see much, much, much better gains, obviously, from doing that? Yeah, but I don't think you're going to experience noob gains. In other words, I don't think you're going to walk in and be able to do a 3x5 with a weight that's really challenging for you and be able to add 5 pounds every single time that you walk in the gym. 15 pounds a week. I don't think you're going to be able to do that for 3 or 4 months straight. I don't think you will. It's going to be slower. You're going to probably get about half the speed you would expect from noob gains. It's just be if I had to guess on it. So I'm not discouraging you. I'm saying get after it, but you're going to need to specialize in your legs for a while. It's not going to work the same way that it worked for a rank novice because you neglected that area. You bypassed a lot of your adaptation. All right, next question. Isn't the overhand grip better than hook grip because the overhand gives you better support on the deadlift? Thanks. It doesn't give you better support on the deadlift. What are you talking about? Overhand grip work is great for grip training. It's good for learning the bar path, but usually most guys cannot grip anywhere near what they can with a hook grip or a mixed grip, a double overhand, even if you specialize in grip training. And yes, I'm aware that you personally, because I see you post on my wall, that you have double overhand at 500 pounds. But I'd be willing to bet if you learned to hook grip or you did mixed grip, you could probably hold 700. So it's the double overhand is always going to limit the weight that you can use, the volume that you can use, and therefore it's not going to allow you to train your deadlift ideally no matter what. And you've got to deal with the issue of bar roll. So no, it's not going to be better. I don't think we could classify it as better by any standard. Absolutely not. Is it a good training tool? Yes. Do I think people would benefit from working on their double overhand a little bit? You bet. But it's not going to be competitive with the hook grip or the mixed grip as an overall training tool. And I think the hook grip, once you learn it, gives you the best overall balance. Because again, it eliminates bar roll and it gives you even loading side to side while being able to hold a superior weight. I think it is the best training tool for people who aren't wanting to use straps and still use their actual real grip. All right, next question. So my current lifts consist of back squats, flat bench, overhead press, deadlift, and weighted dips and pull-ups. I'm only missing a horizontal pull. When I used to do pendlay rows, the right elbow would really hurt. My elbow is at 100% now, so I'm afraid to go back to rows. Would it be sufficient to supinated row, or would you recommend to hit that horizontal pull that I'm missing? Brother, if you don't want a horizontal pull when you're doing all those other exercises, you're probably okay. You're getting a tremendous amount of back work. Now, if you're doing pull-ups and deadlifts, in addition to all these other exercises, you know what? I think you're going to be just fine. I don't think that you necessarily need a horizontal pull, particularly when you've got a good hip hinge like that, and if you're getting really strong on pull-ups. And I'm not saying you can't do it, but you may be okay without it. But again, even something silly like the face pulls you see me doing in the background right there could replace that to some extent. Here's what I'm going to say. If you've had problems with your elbow with the pronated grip, then go ahead and try the supinated grip. You know what? Start light. If you want to add a pendlay row in, start light with a supinated grip and see how it goes. Assess it and see if you really need it in your program. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you get brutally strong on those lifts that you're already doing, I do think you're going to be fine. I don't think you're going to have any real weaknesses. You should be good to go. But like I said, ultimately, if you just want the exercise variation and another different movement pattern in and you want to do a pendlay, yeah, that's fine. Like I said, if you've been hurt before doing the pronated, the supinated is a fantastic variation. It gets the job done very effectively, and it's a good all-around exercise. So yeah, just do pendlay rows with an underhand grip. Give it a try and assess it if you need some exercise variation, and if nothing else, sometimes to break up the monotony a little bit. Not a bad thing to throw in another effective big lift. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 3.